Okay, in this video I've got some antler and some horn that I want to show you how I cut it. And I've been using, this is a set of moose antlers. I've been using some moose in the latest videos, some billets. There's some elk back here and some buffalo horn. I'll show you that too. That's white-tailed deer right there. Anyway, the wind is kind of picking up too, so I'll when I feel the wind, I'll try to take a pause so I won't be talking over the wind noise. Anyway, I'm going to zoom in here in a minute, but I just want to show you the different areas where I get my tools from. Now this part in the middle was the original piece of skull where these moose antlers were mounted to. Now I'm not sure exactly how these went together, and I've used up a lot of pieces in there. So it's not all there. But anyway, I'll zoom in a little bit, and these two pieces, well, what I originally did was, like everybody else, I just cut them straight. Just made straight cuts and made billets out of these pieces that are attached to the skull. I left some of the skull on there and just rounded these off, and they make very good billets because the bone is very dense. It's heavy, and you don't need much effort to remove flakes with a heavy billet like that. It's hard. But what I did was I originally cut them off straight at 90 degrees, and I've since, cut them off at an angle to make pointed billets. If I had done that in the beginning, I probably could have saved some material. Like this was here somewhere attached. And I tried using this little piece as like a small little flaker, a handheld percussion flaker, but it doesn't seem to have much mass to it, so it didn't work very well. And the moose palm is very dense also, and I cut a bunch of these little drift punches, I think they call them, drift punches, and bits for pressure flakers, but I didn't have much success with these. The moose palm isn't as dense or as tough as, let's say, whitetail antler tine, so I have more success with antler tine from whitetail. And I drilled a hole in here to accept bits of different materials. I've even put little pebbles in there, but they tend to shear off if you use a lot of pressure, and they develop facets and crumbly areas really fast if you try to use a little pebble or something as a percussion flaker or a pressure flaker. So I didn't use that too often. Anyway, I'm not sure where these tines are on the original moose antler, but I think there was one on each side. These here sticking up. Anyway, in later videos I'll probably cut this up and see what I can make as far as billets out of this. I might be able to cut this in half, cut that in half, and then round these off and make two billets or something. Okay, so not sure if I said this already. This was attached here, and you can see that I've worn this one down quite a bit. And if I had started or if I had known what I was going to do in the beginning with these pointed billets, I would have cut them a little bit longer and made two billets out of that one piece instead of this small one and this little kind of a useless piece here. I would have left this, you know, a little bit longer like this, cut it straight off here, and then cut it at an angle this way, so that way I have a pointed billet on that side and a pointed billet on this side, and have 2 pointed billets here and then 2 over here. So instead of having just these 2 pointed billets, I could have had four pointed billets. Alright, anyway, I use this as a indirect percussion flaker. I hold this under my knee. It's very dense. It's lasted a long time. I also use it as a mallet, but it doesn't work quite as good as a mallet because it's kind of curved. Anyway, I don't use the moose palm for anything. I mean, I tried using it as holders and so forth, but it tends to break up, and I think this was already cracked in several spots. There's some hairline cracks in the moose palm, so it's not very strong. At least mine isn't. And this spread, I don't know, it's like 4 feet or so, maybe a little bit more. There's spreads that are much bigger than this, antler sets that are much bigger. Okay, and then there's the elk. I received this as a gift, and I'm not sure exactly how these went together. But I cut the tines off. See if I can assemble some of this. Anyway, I think that tine was here. Anyway, I cut all the tines off, and I still have this large beam I can use. The skull is not attached, but it's still fairly dense in this area. I can use maybe this area as a billet. If not, I'll just cut it into strips, kind of like I did these over here. I think I've shown this in a different video. I just quartered these pieces. Now these over here, I cut up to match some tools found at the Grasshopper Pueblo that I'm going to be doing a video in the near future on the Grasshopper Pueblo tools and arrowheads. And I believe they used elk antler, although I can't remember if it says it in the reference I have, if they're elk or just if it just says antler. But elk is soft in the middle, so it's easy to break up and split, and then you grind these down into shape. And these are actual size according to the drawings and the illustrations in the reference that I have for Grasshopper Pueblo tools. So I'll be showing those in an upcoming video, how I use those for flint knapping. Anyway, that's the elk antler. Again, the moose antler. Now I have some buffalo horn that I've used in the past in some videos. I think I have a couple of videos where I try to use buffalo horn for pressure flakers, and it works okay, but I don't have much success using this for pressure. It tends to come apart easily. I've also tried it as an indirect percussion flaker with this part under my knee right here, and it flakes apart and it starts to tear easily, so I don't use it. I've tried different ways to texture this and cut it up for different things, and this was, I think this was supposed to be a pressure flaker also, but I ended up not using it. Anyway, I've also attempted to make arrowheads out of this, but they're very flexible. It's like making an arrowhead out of a piece of PVC pipe. It's very flexible when you first get the horn, and it's fairly new. It's flexible. When it dries out, it starts to become very, I don't know, easy to split, and it starts to crack when you start bending it. and you can see how it's peeling right there. So it does kind of have a shelf life, the buffalo horn does. And I don't know if it's just a dry climate here or what, but around here it gets kind of brittle after a while. I think these have been in storage for a few years. Anyway, you can make spoons and stuff out of it. But I don't use this for flint knapping anymore. I tried it before, like I said, and didn't have much luck with it. I'd rather use a tine like this, or just a regular whitetail shed tine for pressure flaking or indirect percussion. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Hope that helps. That's it.